Rolex watches are famous for their high prices. But here's a definite fact: you don't have to spend a fortune to get one. We're about to unveil a treasure of information about Rolex watches that won't break the bank. You'll discover how these luxurious timepieces are becoming more accessible and show you the top models that are making waves in the watch enthusiast community. Stay tuned until the end, because by the time we're done, you'll be armed with insider knowledge that can save you a fortune on your dream Rolex. Rolex Explorer. Let's kick things off with the Rolex Explorer, a timeless watch that comes in a smaller 36mm size. We're going to focus on the special two-tone version of this watch, which you can buy now for less than its original price. The two-tone Explorer used to get some negative feedback from people who really love watches, but that changed when they saw it in real life. The yellow gold parts that some folks weren't sure about actually look more subtle when you see the watch up close. Even though some folks didn't like it at first, many now find it really interesting and cool. For those of you who also like this kind of unique Explorer, you might be excited to know that there are some awesome deals out there if you look in the right places. These watches are being sold for less than the regular store price, and they're going for around $24,000 on average. But guess what? People probably won't even have to pay that much, because the prices might go down even more. Now, let's talk about the stainless steel version of the Explorer, known as reference 124270. The regular price for this one is about $7,800, but online, you'll usually find it listed for around $8,900. So if you really love the Explorer series of watches, it's a good idea to wait a little bit, because the prices might go even lower soon. Cool, right? Rolex Explorer II. Here's another amazing watch from the Explorer series that we absolutely love. It makes us really happy to see its prices going down slowly. This special Rolex watch is called the Explorer II, and it has a cool black dial. It's like a hidden treasure that not everyone notices, but it's really cool. Some people even like the black version more than the white one, and that's okay. Let's talk about a specific type of this watch, known as the reference 226570. It's a big 42mm watch made of strong stainless steel. It's a professional Rolex model, and it even has a hand that tells you different time zones. The normal price for this watch is about $10,300, but when you look online, the price usually goes between $10,200 and $12,700. But guess what? Those prices might go down even more very soon, maybe even lower than the regular price you see in the stores. If you're someone who really likes this watch's style and also likes the older versions of the Explorer II, there's some good news. You can find those older models for about $8,900. Rolex YachtMaster 37mm and Rolex YachtMaster 40mm. The YachtMaster models are a bit fancier and maybe not as practical as the Submariner watches. They look pretty similar to Submariners, but they use really high quality materials like super fancy platinum for the bezel and the part that shows the time. Even though they can go underwater up to 100 meters, some people who really love watches might have their own favorites. Let's talk about two sizes of the YachtMaster. One is 37mm and the other is 40mm. The smaller one, the YachtMaster 37, costs about $12,300 in the stores. The bigger one, the 40mm version, is about $13,100. But guess what? When you look at the places where people sell watches after buying them, you'll usually see the 37mm one being sold for around $12,700 to $14,000, and the bigger 40mm one being sold for around $15,200 to $16,500. Even though these prices are still higher than what you see in the store, they'll slowly get lower over time. Rolex DayDate 40. You might find some of these watches being sold at or pretty close to the store prices in places where people sell them after buying. Before we got all into watches and became big fans, when someone talked about Rolex, the DayDate was the watch that popped into our heads. It's like the special face of Rolex, known for being really fancy and having that famous bracelet that looks like a president's bracelet. Out of all the choices you have when you're shopping in the stores, the DayDate 40 watches with numbers that look like Roman numerals on the dial seem to be the ones that cost the least. We even found one that's not much different in price from the one you'd get in the store. If you want things to be easy and smooth when you're buying, going to a store that's been given the green light by Rolex might be the better way to go. But guess what? You can also look at the places where people sell watches they've already bought. And you know what's cool? The prices for these watches are going to keep getting lower. Rolex Oyster Perpetual. During 2020 and 2021, the Oyster Perpetual market experienced a frenzy due to the introduction of the new colorful dials. It was such a big deal that even when we hear the word Tiffany, it takes us back to the time when everyone was super excited about these watches. But here's the good news. Even though some of the Oyster Perpetual watches are still riding on that excitement wave, there are some really cool chances for you if you want something classic and simple. If you're all about that classic vibe and you like the things that are traditional, there's this awesome choice called the Oyster Perpetual 124-200. It has a black dial and is 34mm big. You can find these watches in the stores that Rolex says are okay to sell them, and there are some being sold for the regular price. Now, the 34mm version might not be the one that's everyone's chasing after, but that's exactly what some people like about it. It's not shouting for attention, and it's more for folks who want something that's not too flashy. Even though a lot of people really like the Oyster Perpetual watches, it's not a good idea to pay more than the regular price for one of them. You see, a few years ago, they weren't really that popular until Rolex gave them a cool makeover with those colorful dials. As the super excitement around them goes down, we think these watches will become easier to find and not as in demand. Rolex GMT Master II. Some watches that many people really love are the GMT Master II in white gold and the ones made entirely from beautiful Ever-Rose gold. Lately, these watches made entirely from precious metals have been getting cheaper when you buy them from places other than the main stores. You might even be able to find them for the same price they are in the store, or maybe even less. The white gold GMT Master II usually costs about $43,500 in the store, but there are models online for as low as $43,200. Similarly, the full Ever-Rose gold version, which also has a retail price of $43,500, has been seen being sold for as low as $42,000. Now, when it comes to the two-tone version of this watch, it's still usually sold for more than the regular store price. But guess what? There's a chance that it might become the next GMT model to be sold at, or even below the store price. Even though these watches made from precious metals are still kind of expensive and are made for a specific group of people who like them a lot, they show us a bigger picture of how watch prices are changing. This could mean that more professional models will also start to get cheaper in the future. Oh, and here's some interesting news that people in the watch world are talking about. There are rumors going around that Rolex is having a hard time making the red ceramic part of the bezel for the Pepsi GMT model. Because of this, some people think that Rolex might stop making the stainless steel version of this watch. So which Rolex model do you want to acquire this year? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and before leaving, do subscribe to Luxury Focus to stay ahead of all the latest trends and news in the world of watches.